Now, finally, the former Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has admitted to the follies of the establishment, which have resulted in the total and utter meltdown of the Pakistani economy. He has slammed the politicians and the Pakistani military for putting the blame on India, America and even Afghanistan for the miseries that the people of Pakistan have been subjected to. So then, does Nawaz Sharif bring hope to the people of Pakistan for a better, stable and a more development-oriented government? Or is it just a ruse to get people's vote and sympathy and fall back to the old ways of operating the vassal state that Pakistan has come to be called? I start my conversation with Ambassador Suresh Goyal and a very pointed response from you with regards to how the Pakistani polity has been shaping up. And can there be a real change that Nawaz Sharif can really bring to the people of Pakistan, to the development of Pakistan and to the welfare of Pakistan in terms of the kind of statements and ideologies that he comes up with?
Megha, it's a very difficult question because there are too many things which are contained in this one small question that you have asked. I will try and answer one or two of them really. First of all, if we have to go by past experience, which is more empirical and depending upon the actual happenings in the past, the fact is that the Pakistani polity has been so strongly controlled by the Pakistani army that it is difficult to imagine that there would be any relaxation of their control or their domination either in Pakistani politics, which will include the Pakistani economic policies, or economic space, so to say, or the way Pakistani people, common people, Aam Aadmi, as you say, will actually have to deal with the local situation there. Therefore, any change, any transformation in the Pakistani economy, if it happens at all, is a matter to be seen in future. It cannot happen unless there is a significant transformation of the Pakistani polity, and that is difficult to see really. Remaining agricultural with little investment in industry, a service sector depending largely to cater to either the agricultural landlords or to the army's enterprises. Difficult to see anything otherwise. As far as the foreign policy is concerned, again, difficult to imagine that Pakistan will change. The fact is that Pakistan's existence really in the region, right from 1947 or 1950s when it became member of CENTO, when it was playing China and USA both, and I would say rather very deftly, very, very cleverly, it played both of them against India. It has been always guided by India factor. And particularly after Pakistani army having lost to the Indian army in several wars, the feeling of kind of, that I must get back at them, revenge, that kind of feeling, strong feeling of having to really inflict injury is very, very strong. And whether that kind of feeling, with the Pakistani army will allow Nawaz Sharif, even if he has any such feeling towards India, to work with them. Okay. Please remember, Kargil war happened during Nawaz Sharif's time. It is not easy. I cannot accept that he will feign ignorance of it. He knew it very well. He allowed army to go ahead with it. Therefore, I don't see any change, and whatever he is saying now in terms of blaming the Pakistani army for economic deprivations or depredations is all part of the pre-poll politics, nothing else.
Okay.
Megha.
Okay, I absolutely agree with you, because I'm going to bring these inferences in front of my audience and talking about how there has been a pro-India sentiment that has showcased by politicians who are wanting to vie for the position of the Prime Ministership in Pakistan during their campaign period. And we saw something similar in terms of the statements that were made by Imran Khan before he came to power, and now Nawaz Sharif. Just a few months ago, he also made a statement after he returned to Pakistan, after the exile that had then taken him to United States of America, and he's returned, and after that he has made a very reconciliatory statement towards India, saying that he would want to initiate peaceful dialogue with India once he becomes the Prime Minister of the country. Something similar was also spoken by Imran Khan before he came to power. He was lauding India, he was slamming the poor welfare and development projects, the way the politics of Pakistan was being played, how the military had taken control of things, which led to the complete debacle of the state and its economy. So as Ambassador Goyal said, Gautam Mukherjee, is this again a ploy that is utilized by the Pakistani presidential race candidates, prime ministerial race candidates, to then ensure people have some hope? They decide to vote, and then obviously falling back to the pattern where the military is the supreme.
Well, Megha, I'm not even sure that statements like this are aimed at the Pakistani population. I think they're aimed at the international media in order to look like a moderate and a person who believes in the political process. To some extent, if you look at his 3 terms in office, this is true. He has made overtures. He has been stymied by the Pakistani army and the ISI. And here he is again, probably his last innings, if he aspires to be Prime Minister, and he is singing the same tune. Except Pakistan has deteriorated all the while from his earlier terms, and now is just a shadow of a country, a loose conglomeration of conflict. And, to say, I don't blame Afghanistan, I don't blame India, I don't blame China, I don't blame America, is of no consequence. The fact is, you've got a near anarchy in which you live. Your economic situation is completely bankrupt. The support from China is not really there on the ground anymore. It is strategic, perhaps, in terms of using Pakistan against India, but that's as far as it goes. The economic dream of the CPEC, etc., has faded. So at this point in time, to do this kind of shadow boxing is, I think, of really nothing but fantasy.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Major Siraj, talking about making statements to appease certain agencies and countries. And with that, I also come to one such example where recently the US State Department has released a statement. There was the Pakistani general, army chief, who had traveled all the way to Washington, D.C. And America pulled up Pakistan and said that it needs to maintain peace and trade association with India. Again, US that has seen itself as Pakistan being its ally. It has continued to support Pakistan tacitly. It has provided it arms and ammunition. It has used Pakistan as a deterrence mechanism against India. What is this sudden change of heart for America towards India, that it is now pulling up Pakistan to show the kind of attitude and reconciliation actions that it at this point in time expects Pakistan military and establishment to conduct?
Yeah, make a 2-3 issue. One, there's no doubt as far as Pakistan is concerned, today Pakistan is in economic crisis. There is a total political instability and the terrorism is now increasing day by day. Now, as far as their economic conditions are concerned, it goes without saying they have a debt of more than $100 billion and they need $4 billion to pay only the interest of the loan which they have taken. The inflation rate is almost about more than 30%. The investment is hardly anything. Exports of textile is totally closed now. Imports are increasing. So Pakistan is in a bad crisis and it needs help. And that's why it is going, Asim Munir, the present chief, has gone to Saudi Arabia, UAE, and now he has gone to America also. But the USA has given the cold shoulder for the region that Pakistan importance of geostrategic is now reduced tremendously as far as the US is concerned. You know, when the US was in Afghanistan and also trying to look after this West Asia, the importance of Pakistan was huge, and especially when the Russians have come in Afghanistan. Now that is no more there. The Americans have already come out from Afghanistan. They need Pakistan, no doubt, for having some bases. You know, after all, Al Jawahri was killed by using these bases only by MQ-9 drone. But certainly now that leverage which Pakistan had is no more there. The geostrategic importance of Pakistan has reduced. And if you see universally or otherwise, the importance of India has increased tremendously as far as the US is concerned. The US knows that if they have to compete in South Asia, Indo-Pacific, it is basically a challenger is China. And who can compete with China and who can really look into the Chinese eyes? It is India. So therefore, US needs India more than India needs US. And that is where the equations have been fast changing. You know, our dependence on Russia is also reduced. We have become a strategic partner with US. We have signed 4 basic agreements, whether it is COMCASA, LIMIO or BECA. And today we are a co and strategic partner with US in Indo-Pacific, especially a part of Quad, which talks about freedom of navigation, rule-based international order, maintaining territorial integrity and sovereignty of all nations, including a minor island nation. So overall, today, India is become very important for US, especially when they have to now show their might in Indo-Pacific and they have to contest China.
Okay.
Whereas the importance of Pakistan has reduced tremendously after the time when they have come out from Afghanistan. They feel that strategic importance of Pakistan is not there. They only need Pakistan for 2 things. One is that still, in case they have to keep an eye on Afghanistan, they need some bases for which they need. And the second thing is they know it, that is a nuclear state. You know, if there is a complete chaos and confusion in Pakistan, then the chances of this nuclear weapon falling into the hand of terrorists are there. And therefore, it will never like the Pakistan to break into 4 parts. That is very important. Please try to understand whatever USA may say, but USA will not let Pakistan do it.
Okay, all right. Quickly getting in an economist voice into the telecast. Akash Jinder, now, can we really at this point of time hope and expect that there is going to be a turnaround for the Pakistani economy with the kind of ambitious statements that are being made by a prime ministerial candidate, Nawaz Sharif?
Well, Megha, Nawaz Sharif did try a turnaround, and what sort of turnaround it was? Nawaz Sharif, he tried rampant privatization. I'll take you back to Pakistan economic history. 60s was the only period, the only decade when Pakistan economy was growing. Then, now what Nawaz Sharif has now said, we have to examine that statement. He is not talking too well for India or US. He is criticizing his own people. He said, our own people need to be blamed for what has happened. So basically, he's trying to put the blame on Pakistan's own people, and that is where he's right. Because what has been happening in 60s, yes, Pakistan economy has been growing. 70s, what happened was, all of a sudden, there was a nationalization of Pakistan economy. Late 70s, what happened? Military ruler took over Pakistan. He ruled till late 80s. Then after that, Nawaz Sharif tried privatization, a rampant privatization, which didn't succeed. After that, 9/11 happened. Pakistan kept on getting external money. They could survive for some time, but after that, again, the economy kept on falling. Now the condition is such, we all know how much money they owe to the world. Petrol prices, after reduction, 267 rupees, diesel around 276 rupees, US dollar is costing around 280 rupees. And Pakistan has already tasted the help of China. One of my colleagues were talking about CPEC. Now in CPEC, Pakistan took help from China, and CPEC was the most ambitious infrastructure project of Pakistan they have ever planned. Now what the mistake, the foolishness which Pakistan did was, they borrowed from China at a very exorbitant rate. The rate of interest was 3.85%. So China sort of exploited Pakistan by lending them at a very, very exorbitant rate of interest. Plus, China, what they did was they sold them power generation machinery, which was obsolete at high prices. Now, where is the CPAC? CPAC is not considered a successful project, and Pakistan has realized that China has misused them. Rather, I'll give you a comparison. Pakistan borrowed at 3.86%, whereas India, we very intelligently borrowed for our infrastructure project, bullet train, from Japan at 0.1%. So that's the difference. How Pakistan has been managing or destroying their own economy, and how India has been managing intelligently our own economy. So now, so what they have been doing, they were destined to reach there. Now also, if they tie up with India, because there can be a lot of synergies with India which they can have. But is it just a pre-poll statement or post-poll? If they come to power, do they plan to do that? Would the military allow? Would the ISA allow? Would the people whom they have fed with Kashmir, would they allow them to do that? That's the big question.
Okay.
So I think, yes,
Fair
Pakistan
enough.
has realized.
Ambassador Suresh Goyal, now talking about the US and it deciding to change tack and pulling up Pakistan and wanting Pakistan and India to have cordial relations, trade relations, is the China factor also being considered for Americans who continue to be in a difficult situation ever since COVID, and even before that? The belligerence that Chinese have shown in the subcontinent, in ASEAN, and also in terms of how it has been taking over with its diplomacy of providing goods, services at exorbitant prices in Europe, where the European countries are completely reliant on the Chinese.
Megha, two things. I will answer this question. But before I come to this issue, I just want to point out one more thing, really. If you recall the past 1 year, the Pakistani politics has been in a great deal of flux. And Imran Khan had to go basically because he decided to take on the army quite hugely, I must say, really, for whatever reason. And MQM, etc., they came on demonstrations, and there was this, suddenly the demonstrations against Imran Khan, he was put behind bars. Therefore, Imran Khan has developed a huge anti-army following for his own party. And in the elections, the direct contest is going to be between the two parties, PPP and the Awami League Nawaz. And therefore, it is important for Nawaz Sharif to actually bring to the front a bit of anti-army image. Otherwise, he will be losing all those votes to Imran Khan. So that is a factor which we must keep in mind when we look at the statements coming from Nawaz Sharif. Coming to the USA, I will be very, very brief here, really speaking. Today, if you pick up the newspapers, you read the commentaries on relations between India and the USA. The 2 or 3 factors which immediately catch the eyes are Pannoon, how did it happen, Neeraj Sharma, what is his name, sorry?
Gupta, Neeraj Gupta.
Neeraj Gupta. Today, Czech Republic has said that there is, the Indian courts have no locus standi in getting Neeraj Gupta back to India, that the legal processes. There has been a lot of uncertainties. Even though we say that we are managing the relation well, despite all these kicks and starts and despite all these sudden bumps which are coming into the relationship, but the fact is that relationship between India and the USA has been very, very transactional. Right. USA close to India basically because of China factor. India became member of Quad, Indo-Pacific, etc., and therefore I have always maintained that if the relationship between China and the USA begins to take a upswing, India's importance in the relationship will be definitely affected. And if today, given the Chinese market, USA does turn toward China, which is not at all unlikely, it can happen, then I think India will have to find new sources of strength. And therefore, I would really say that let us not completely dismiss Pakistan from the equation. It's not just Afghanistan. Pakistan is important in the region for the US, if not as a main player, not as a king of the queen, as a pawn which can be used very, very conveniently on the chessboard. Therefore, let us leave and let us see that we have to actually build our own strength to be able to fend ourselves in the region.
Okay.
And yes.
Gautam, while we have been able to, on a larger extent, been able to contain the Kashmir narrative that has continued to be built by Pakistan, but unfortunately not to their advantage. We now have an emergent problem of the pro-Khalistani elements which continue to get their funding and have epicenter in Pakistan, and which has also been reflected in the poor relationship that India and America have now come to in terms of this rift that can be seen. Even though the Prime Minister has, in that Financial Times interview, spoken about how India is looking to cooperate with United States of America and look into the problems that arise out of this accusation of an Indian agent's hand in plotting plotting Pannu's killing. In such a scenario, where does Pakistan stand? How can India leverage its position in the subcontinent to push America to fight out the Khalistani crisis, knowing fully well that Pakistan is, like I said, the epicenter where Khalistanis have been funded and given safe havens?
Well, the only place, unlike the 80s, when the real fight was in India, in Punjab, and in other parts of India, a lot of extortion, a lot of killing, a lot of destabilization, a strong Pakistan, relatively speaking, aiding and abetting. Now what you've got is a PR exercise limited to places abroad who wish to irritate India or prod it, such as Canada, to a lesser extent Australia, to a minimal, almost take it as red extent America. Having said that, there is an Islamic lobby extant, the OIC and some of its components who are strongly anti-India. There is a lot of Islamic funding. This is joining hands with the Chinese and, of course, the ISI that gets most of its funding via drugs, extortion, and the usual ways that they have been using for many years. Now, this is working against India in a PR capacity, in a propaganda capacity, Britain also. But is it effective? Is Khalistan an issue on the ground in Punjab? Have we not managed to keep quite a close eye, despite the AAP government starting off being quite, pro-Khalistani and taking money from them, it is alleged. But now with AAP itself in a lot of trouble, it isn't able to do this quite so actively. The NIA, ED, and others are very active within the country. And I don't think, really speaking, the Khalistani threat as such is anything more than an embarrassment.
Okay, all right. Major General Suvash, the same question over here. India had to take all the difficult steps, build its PR, send out the message to the United Nations and the rest of the world for them to finally take notice and allow for the language that they used with regards to the Kashmir issue, which would then turn in favor of India. And again, in comparison to what is happening over the Khalistani issue, whether it is Canada or America, it is again the onus will again be on India and India alone, because we are not going to be getting support from the Canadians or the Americans as the case at this point of time is being seen.
Absolutely. No doubt, Mega, as far as Khalistan problem or the Kashmir issue is concerned, the solution is nowhere else but within India itself. And no doubt what is happening, the Pakistan will try to make full use of it. That, initially they were banking that they will try to create problem in Jammu and Kashmir. Now that thing they have now realized it, that they will not able to do it. It's hardly about 50 to 60 residual terrorists which are left. Leadership of Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaise Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen finished off. Now they have activated this K2 desk, that is Khalistan and also the Kashmir issue. So they are now trying to reactivate the Khalistan activity through the drugs, sending drugs through drones and also the weapons, and they are trying to now activate the Punjab and the Jammu border. So this we have to be very alert, and this fight has to be our own. We can't depend neither on US nor about Canada. As far as Canada is concerned, it's a very different game plan, because Justin Trudeau is totally dependent on a party which is a totally pro-Khalistani, that is New Democratic Party of Jagmeet Singh. So as far as Canada is concerned, you will find an anti-Indian stance. As far as US is concerned, they care to hoots. As far as Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaise Mohammed is concerned, that is our problem. So far, it is not affecting the interest of USA not bother. And so is the Khalistan problem. But what has happened is that India has played its card well. 2019, 5th August, when we have abrogated Article 370 and 35A, that has made a tremendous impact in the international arena. That we know that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, and it is like any other state, whether it is Punjab or whether it is Haryana, whether it is Tamil Nadu, and so is Jammu and Kashmir. So after abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, things have now slightly changed, and nowhere in international other than Pakistan or China has raised any issue on that. Right. And therefore the point is, if we are economically strong, if we are militarily strong, which we are becoming, 4th largest military, 5th largest economy, going to be 3rd largest economy in time to come, I suppose this Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir problem is not a big issue. And as we grow up, we will find it, Pakistan will be left, and Pakistan will keep on saying, let us have a good relation, but India will not bother about it. But thinking that they will stop this cross-border terrorism, I think we are asking too much. That we have to be very alert.
Fair enough. Akash, before I wrap up this discussion, taking a look at simply, specifically on the economic development of Pakistan, how important does it become for our neighbor to be economically self-sufficient, their welfare projects, their development needs be taken care of to ensure a calmer, more peaceful, more developed subcontinent?
Megha, your point is very valid, but does Pakistani administration or does Pakistani military think so? Because what I think is quite contrary. If you have a prosperous Pakistan, I don't think they are going to work for the welfare of the people. A prosperous Pakistan would mean much more funding for terrorism. So I don't think we should be wishing for Pakistan's prosperity, because yes, we know.
No, in fact, if the money was funneled into the development and welfare of Pakistan, there will be very little left to fund the terrorists. Therefore, if there is a prosperous, well-developed Pakistan, which means that terrorism will be weeded out. That's just a byproduct of an economy doing really well.
But what have they been doing? In 60s, Pakistan was a prosperous economy. What have they done with that money? In 70s and 80s, what they have been doing is...
Yes, that's my point. That it is being funneled into terrorism. It is being funneled into criminal activities. How can the turnaround happen? And what is it that the countries, economies and agencies across the globe will have to do to bring about this turnaround? We have not been able to do so in the last 75 years, but there has to be that impetus. There has to be a change. We can't just, shrug our shoulders and say, what can we do about it? All right, I'm out of time, but I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. We continue to talk about Pakistan. We continue to talk about with the hopes that there needs to be development and stability that needs to be brought in. How can it be done so? That remains a challenging question. Thanks for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.